Alright, so this video is tips on how to sketch and measure the front section of your vehicle. Alright, so just kind of a reminder, remember your sketches with your measurements are summative, and right now we are talking about the front section, okay? Alright, and just another look at the calendar, you'll make sure you're where you need to be, okay? Alright, so for these vehicles, you all have different front sides. So this is a side view, and I went ahead and took a picture. You can do this as well, that way you kind of have the reference if you want to do them at home. But this is a side view of the front. This is a front view of the front piece, and then this is the back view of the back piece. And if you notice, this part right here, this blue part, is the same thing that you did on the previous one from the passenger section. So remember, the blue part you've already done, so we're not worried about that right now. All you're going to be doing is this back part. And actually, you don't even have to do that, because this back part right here, since it fits on this section, has the exact same dimensions as your passenger piece did. Okay, so really we're worried about these dimensions right here. Okay. Alright, so when you did your passenger section, whichever part this was, or this, depending on what car you had and which one was your front, these dimensions are going to be the same, okay? And just kind of showing you, depending on what car you have, everybody has got a different shaped front section. Okay, the commonalities is that you each have an axle peg hole. You're going to disregard the axle pegs because we're just going to put holes in to put the axle pegs in later. Okay, they've all got front views, but they've got different headlights. So you notice this one slopes down a lot. This one's this is the most crazy one right here. This one's really snub-nosed. And then these two are probably the most similar, but you notice that they all have different headlights as well. Okay, and then they each have their own connectors. So the yellow car's got the purple, orange car's got the orange, and purple, blue, light blue, and green. Okay, and then also remember, once you've done this part on your passenger section, it is exactly the same. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of show you a tip on how you should do this. We'll worry about the modeling part in Inventor once we get there, but for right now I'm just going to show you the best way to sketch it out. We're not really going to worry about our headlights right now, okay, and we're not really going to worry about this right at this moment. Okay, right now we're going to focus on this part. So when you take your side view, I can't take this out, but we're going to go ahead and just disregard this. And if you noticed, what I did is I went ahead and put a rectangle around here. Okay, so the height, this part right here, this height is the same as the height you got for your passenger base. Okay, so whatever height you got right there, that's what you need to draw. So that's just a straight line right here, right? So all of them start off with some sort of a right angle somewhere. So you need to draw a rectangle, okay, in your notebook. Make sure that it's, proportional. This height is the height of your passenger base. Then you decide what is the distance from the farthest edge here, which is this edge, to the farthest edge here, which in this case is this little part that pokes out right here. So you need to know the distance from here to here. And then you need to know the height, which is going to be, actually, well, we already did that, sorry. So you know the height, and then you know this. So obviously there's a whole big part of this rectangle that we don't use. But if you start off by just drawing the rectangle, see I have it drawn here, so I have a rectangle drawn. Okay, and I'm going to give myself some points. Now, I have here written on the bottom that it does not have to be perfect. Okay, so you want to try to manipulate it and change it so that it looks as close as possible to this shape once you do your Inventor stuff, but you just need to give yourself some reference points. And then you can use fillets and chamfers and all that kind of stuff to make it look rounded and things like that. But if you notice, what I did is I started here, and I kind of noticed, okay, it's got to come down at a point, an arc to this point. So I drew my point there, which is a little bit, halfway is about here, it's a little bit above halfway. So I just put a point there, and I just sketched an arc. Okay, it's not perfect, I'm probably going to end up changing it, but I sketched an arc. And then I noticed that it kind of indents here, so that was this point right here, and then it comes back out to this edge. So I went from this point, did my curve to that point, and then kind of curved it out to there, and then cut this part out right here. So really the part that you want to be measuring with your dial caliper is decide what points. So I measured obviously the height, which we already knew. I measured the length with the dial caliper, so I wanted to know from here to here. And then I decided where I was going to put that point. So I just basically got my best guess coming from here. There's not really an exact way to do this with the instruments that we have. But you can give yourself just a reference point. So at this point was coming across to here, then I go ahead and I'm going to know what is my distance from here to here. That's this distance right here. Because where this point goes, how far is it from the bottom of the rectangle? And then I picked this other point, which is that indentation point, which is right here, and I went that distance to there. Okay, so you want to give yourself just a basic idea. You should probably have at least 4 to 5 dimensions. Okay, when you do this in Inventor, what you're going to do is you're going to start off with this right here, the height, and then this part, and then do your points with arcs, and then extrude it the length of the automobile blocks, which you have, or the width actually, which you have from your passenger section, and then you'll make sure that the back side matches. Okay, so depending on which car you have, obviously it's going to be different. So this one's kind of done. Most people didn't pick this one, so that's why I chose to do this one. A lot of people didn't like the minivan, which is fine. So make it the best that you can. Okay, it doesn't have to be exact, but they should be different from everybody else's. Okay, so again, if you have any questions, please let me know. You don't have to get this checked off, but you ask me questions as you proceed. All right, thanks guys.